Modern warfare is all about surprise. To be invincible, you need to be invisible, and stealth weapons can be both.
This is gonna be fun.
The Predator has taken out Al-Qaeda members in covert operations. Now, I'm about to feel what it's like to be hunted by that assassin in the sky.
I think it's time we put the Predator to the test.
I get to play with the world's most powerful sniper rifle. It can take out an enemy from a distance of a mile away. I'm Richard Makowitz, and I spent 10 years as a Navy SEAL, and I'm digging into the ultra-secret world of stealth weapons, a world where you can take out your enemy and disappear in the blink of an eye. Sniping is a huge problem in the hostile world where terrorists hit and run from busy streets and city buildings. It's especially bad in Iraq, where insurgents are well protected by thick concrete walls or reinforced armor. Attempting to take them out can put soldiers in extreme danger. So, how can a modern warrior fight back? With the state-of-the-art rifle that can out-snipe a sniper. The Barrett M107 rifle.
I've taken shots 1,400 meters, and I've had friends that have taken shots over 2,000 meters successfully.
In Afghanistan, getting a kill at over 2,430 meters.
When you're hit by a large caliber like this, you're down.
I'd like to introduce you to the Barrett 107 rifle. It can say hello to you at over 1.5 miles away. It's designed to take out lightly armored vehicles. There have even been confirmed reports of it cutting a man in half at over 1,400 meters.
Today, I'm firing this high-powered sniper rifle to see the damage it can deliver. This is the heart of Tennessee, and I'm on my way to meet the designer of the rifle that gives the Scout Sniper an amazing new stealth capability. Ronnie Barrett invented this successful combat weapon for the U.S. Army, designing every part himself.
I designed the rifle, I marketed the rifle, we mass-produced the rifle. So I didn't just design it and turn it over to someone else. I'm still here with it. There have only been about 4 men in the last 100 years that have designed guns that were fielded to U.S. troops, and I'm the 4th one. You'd have John Browning, Gene Stoner, John Garand, Ronnie Barrett.
Barrett's inspiration stemmed from the limitations of the World War II Browning machine gun. The weight and recoil of the Browning made it impossible to shoot a heavy caliber bullet without being mounted on a vehicle or a turret. Now he's designed a portable weapon that can deliver this firepower from a sniper rifle.
What makes the Barrett M107 so unique?
The ability to be able to fire it at low recoil impulse allows the shooter to be able to continue sustained fire without him losing his ability to shoot well.
So, how did he create a shoulder-fired weapon that wouldn't tear a soldier's arm clean off? By using a floating barrel, extra springs, and buffer parts in the body, he's managed to spread the recoil throughout the weapon. The biggest breakthrough was lowering recoil by almost 70%. He created a new dual-chamber muzzle brake. This arrow-shaped design redirects high-speed gun gas as the bullet exits the barrel, forcing the bullet forward and keeping the gun stable. The M107 was selected by the U.S. Army as one of the top 10 inventions of 2005 for the fight against the War on Terror. Major John Clearwater commanded 2 U.S. Special Forces units, and the Barrett undoubtedly proved itself to be the weapon of choice for his soldiers.
The Barrett has had tremendous success with Army Special Forces teams in Somalia and Afghanistan and Iraq, where in all of those countries, in all those areas of operation, it has taken out mortar crews, it's taken out heavy machine gun positions, and it's taken out light trucks at over 1 mile away, long before the enemy ever knew what was hitting them.
This powerful new stealth rifle has turned the tables on insurgents. Now the hunter has become the hunted.
It completely depletes their morale. It takes them down to the point where they never know where death might strike them from. It's probably one of the most cost-effective, efficient weapons on the battlefield, and certainly one of the most feared.
The Barrett fires one of the biggest bullets in the world. They're normally fired from machine guns, but Barrett created a semi-automatic 50 caliber sniper rifle. Just imagine the fear that creates in the enemy.
This is the .223 round. It is the standard round for most U.S. military rifles. This is the .308. It is the standard round for the AK-47. This is the 50 caliber round. This round, when fired from the Barrett M107, flies at 2,700 feet per second and can take out an armored personnel carrier. Trust me, you don't want to be in one of those when one of these is flying around.
When you're hit by a large caliber like this, you're down. It is impressed upon the enemy that this is something you don't want to come up against. What we have been learning here in Afghanistan and Iraq, a lot of our targets are inside the city. So not only are we just having to look at a long-range target, but a target that may be barricaded in behind sandbags or behind brick walls, and the 50 caliber does a great job on those type of targets.
To be an effective sniper on the battlefield, you really have to acquire targets very quickly, and you have to put effective rounds downrange. With the old-style sniper rifles, you used to have to pull the bolt all the way out, put a round in the chamber, and then put that bolt all the way back to fire another round. That could take anywhere between 15 to 20 seconds. Now, that's a long time when targets need to be hit. What's amazing about the Barrett is that it can actually deliver 10 rounds downrange in less than 10 seconds. Less than 10 seconds. That's the last place you want to be.
Coming up, I get my hands on the Barrett M107 rifle. And later, it once came close to taking out Osama bin Laden. I enter the silent world of the Predator, the assassin in the sky. I'm heading to Barrett's own test firing range to get familiar with the M107 rifle. Time to shake off the cobwebs and put a few rounds downrange. The Barrett packs a real punch, but just how far can it reach out and touch the enemy?
So, John, can I fire one of these off?
Yeah, let's do it.
I am genuinely excited. It has been a long time behind. This is gonna be fun. Range is hot.
Good to go.
That's cool.
That was pretty good shooting.
Not as good as you there, buddy.
You're a little left. I mean, you're close.
Last round.
All right.
The 2 rounds here?
No. Yeah.
What the hell was that?
Let's take a look at the back. Well, you know,
It's been blown twice. See this?
you're right. That is
Come on,
too.
buddy. Come on.
Yeah,
Hey.
good job.
There you go.
That's awesome.
That's not too bad. One of the things that surprised the heck out of me is there's no kick on that thing.
Yeah.
I shoot a bolt, man. I shoot just 3 or 4 of those things. I'm feeling like
Yeah,
somebody's
you
just
wanna go
punching
home.
me in the shoulder the whole day, you know?
Yeah.
By the time you shot 20 rounds, you're like, oh, man, I want to go home. I'm done. So this thing, I didn't even feel it.
So, the rifle handles really well in the test range, but its inventor says it's capable of so much more. I'm heading to the wide open spaces of a private shooting range in New Mexico where I can wreak as much havoc as I want. Can this sinister rifle really work at long distances?
A Canadian sniper team engaged a Taliban position and took out machine gunners and hit one Taliban rifleman at 2,430 meters away. It's an amazing shot, an amazing distance, and he punched through tin that the rifleman was hiding behind and killed a man. We've got a soldier standing out there beside a Humvee. He's at about 300 meters, which is a typical range for most infantry rifles. All right, Scott, go ahead and push it back out to 1,000 meters. He's out at a little over a half a mile. That is an ideal killing range for a typical sniper weapon of the 7.62 class. Go ahead and move back out to 2,000 meters now.
At this range, the target is just about out of sight.
Mile away, that's an easy shot for a Barrett. With the right ammunition, it will travel out there at over 2,000 to 3,000 feet per second, long before the sound ever reaches the people that it's hitting.
I'll be shooting the Barrett at a range of 1,000 yards. We've set up 2 battle scenarios, a large steel plate that's just like the metal used by lightly armored vehicles, and a set of concrete cinder blocks over 3 feet thick, similar to the walls used by insurgents for protection in today's urban combat. Just 5 standard rounds per target. Let's see if this weapon can cut it at this incredible distance. With bullets traveling 2,700 feet per second, nearly 3 times the speed of sound, the enemy is down well before he even hears the bang.
When you start to see the brick coming apart, try not to get too excited. You just want to enjoy it. But it's pretty impressive, man, to see that this is actually getting a result. I mean, you're so far back, you kind of have a feeling things are going. You know, you kind of see things breaking up. But I'll tell you what, I'm surprised.
Well, I am too. There's a lot of energy on that round. Even though we're shooting so far, even when the projectile gets here, it's still got a lot of power behind it, you know?
It's already gone through the other side. I'll tell you, you know what? If you're the bad guy, it's over.
We are on a private range, and explosive armor-piercing bullets are only available through the military, but these standard rounds show what the potential damage could be.
When you look at this, you ain't even got a slightest bit of penetration going on right here. Let's see what we got. We got a little bit of the ball sticking through right here. Over half a mile, and it's just starting to penetrate. Now, you add to that armor-piercing capability, maybe a little explosive capability, it's right through.
Yep.
And that's where it does the real damage, when it's on the other side.
It's destruction like this that makes the Barrett such a lethal weapon. It turns sniper units that have them into the world's most feared stealth warriors. Coming up next, I hitch a ride in the world's most invisible submarine. And later, the assassin in the sky that can go halfway across the world and take out the enemy and return home without anyone knowing it's ever been there. For over a century, the warrior at sea has faced one terror greater than any other. Lurking deep beneath the waves, ready to strike without warning, meet the original stealth weapon, the submarine. In Germany, one name is associated with undersea warfare more than any other in the world, the U-boat. And here in Eckenport, on the edge of the Baltic Sea, I'm on my way to board the very first of a brand new class of U-boat, a design that pushes the concept of stealth to the absolute maximum.
During development, these technologies are always kept secret. But this amazing vessel has now been commissioned, and Germany's Ministry of Defense has given me first-time, all-exclusive access to the world's quietest submarine.
Delta Hotel Juliet 5-8, this is Delta Romeo Delta Alpha, radio check, over.
The submarine gives you a lot of extra options which no other platform, in my view, can provide.
More than 3 times the size of its predecessor, this undersea assassin massively outperforms the range and diving depth of the Type 206 it will replace without sacrificing the ability to maneuver in the shallow coastal waters.
This ship is able to move like a dolphin. Because we are unseen, we can see things other people can't see.
Is it safe to say this is the quietest submarine on planet Earth?
Well, let me say this. It's the quietest submarine that I know of.
Conventional submarines use diesel generators to charge banks of batteries, but running on these alone uses up their power in a matter of days. To recharge, the submarine has to snorkel near the surface where the generator's heat and noise can be easily detected.
On this ship, they've done everything they can to make the diesel generator as quiet as possible. They've suspended it from plastic mounts to reduce the vibration to the ship's hull. But as you can hear, it's still plenty loud, and there's a heat signature that makes the sub easily identifiable in the water. To be the world's quietest submarine, you need something a little more sophisticated. This may not look like much, but behind these panels are the hydrogen-oxygen fuel cells that give the U-212 its unique stealth capability. There's no heat, there's no sound, and the only byproduct is water.
9 fuel cells combine hydrogen and oxygen stored in tanks on the outside of the submarine's body, producing enough energy to run the massive electrical motor for weeks or recharge the ship's batteries. The presence of hydrogen in such a confined space is potentially explosive. That means the crew has to be ready to react instantly against one of the U-boat's deadliest enemies.
Fires on any seaborne vessel are dangerous, but on submarines, within seconds, they get deadly.
Feuerschiff, Feuerschiff, es brennt der Generator, Feuerschiff!
The risk of explosion is one of the main reasons why early experiments with hydrogen-powered subs were abandoned at the end of World War II. On the 212, there is never more than a small amount of hydrogen actually inside the ship, and the external tanks are designed to explode outwards away from the body. Even so, a team of firefighters is trained to be ready for action in less than 3 minutes. The submarine's cutting-edge propulsion system creates virtually no additional risk from fire, compared to conventional diesel power. What it does do is make the 212 a virtually silent long-range attack platform.
Gives us the advantage to either stay much longer times fully submerged, and therefore as a black hole in the water, undetectable almost, or on the other hand, if you need to, travel at faster speeds for a longer time if you want to go from A to B covertly, quickly, like a nuclear submarine, for instance. With a big advantage of being much more quiet. Nuclear submarines need cooling pumps for the nuclear plant. We don't. We have no moving parts.
Every part of the sub has been designed to prevent it from being detected. The 7-blade propeller slices through the water with maximum efficiency, creating no telltale bubbles or turbulence, and the 3-megawatt electrical motor that drives it is one of the quietest in existence. The smooth-bodied curves are designed to break up enemy sonar. The hull itself is made of anti-magnetic steel to counter the threat of magnetic naval mines. In fact, everything on board is made from amagnetic materials, even the kitchen sink.
We even have a dishwasher on board, another new item, and that's amagnetic too.
While these stealth measures make the 212 virtually invisible, its dolphin-like maneuverability allows it to submerge in as little as 60 feet of water. This means it can operate extremely close to the shoreline without giving itself away.
Our tactical advantage is that our position isn't known. We are invisible, nobody knows where we are and what we are doing. Nuclear submarine has a bigger size, of course, and they don't dive when they have got 20 meters.
Remaining hidden, the 212 can eavesdrop on vital communications, track the movement of any ship or aircraft in the area, and, if necessary, unleash its deadly payload of 12 torpedoes.
Firing a torpedo is not really difficult. You just press a button. Making the decision is difficult, therefore we have to have the right information.
The 212 carries no less than 6 different types of sonar, allowing it to identify individual ships just by their acoustic signatures. This data is combined with existing intelligence to provide a complete 3D picture of the surrounding area.
We can very quickly, usually, find out what type of ship is out there, where is it going, and what is it doing.
Once a ship is identified as a target, it could find itself on the receiving end of an almighty shock. A sophisticated self-guiding torpedo with a high explosive warhead equivalent to almost a half a ton of TNT.
It's the lethal weapon that we carry. If you hit a target, everything below, like an aircraft carrier, that would be what we call a unit kill. In other words, the ship would usually sink.
And soon, the 212 will even be equipped to deliver its firepower beyond the confines of the ocean.
We'll have a missile implemented as well that will also be fired through the torpedo tubes. And that missile will enable us to hit targets at sea, targets in the air, for instance, maritime patrol craft if necessary, and also within a certain distance, targets land-based.
But the missiles aren't the only type of weapon the sub can deliver.
Okay, what we have here are the 6 torpedo tubes. And I know it's pretty obvious, their job is to launch torpedoes. What you may not know is they're also used for special operations. What you do is you take one of the Navy SEALs, comp swimmer, you put them inside here. Now, having been in these places, I'll tell you, it's a really tight fit. And what they do is they close the hatch. Then it's pitch black in there, and you're just hoping everybody gets it right. They equalize the pressure, they flood it, and then boom, you're out into sea. Having done this on American subs, I can tell you, this is serious business.
Imagine an evacuation operation in a country that currently may not be friendly, and you want to take out German, European, US citizens that have to escape the country, and you can't get them out any other way. We can deploy special forces, many of them, with all the equipment, since we have the space for it, very close to the coastline, so they can swim the rest of the way. And like I said, this is a big advantage of a German submarine. They need less equipment, they have shorter ways to the coast, to the shore, to get out these citizens that they have to rescue, and then get off again, vanish again with a submarine.
With a range that can take it halfway across the world and a top underwater speed of 20 knots, the 212 is a lethal stealth sub that will dominate the deep. Next, It's a plane that has no pilots, can take out terrorists on the other side of the world. Meet the Predator.
You ever feel like you're being watched? Maybe you're paranoid. Or maybe an unseen, unmanned aircraft is flying high overhead and spying on your every move. And with the push of a button, can deliver enough explosives to wipe you from the face of the planet.
That's just what the Predator does. It's a stealth weapon without peer. In military jargon, it's an unmanned aerial vehicle, or UAV. Originally designed for spy missions, UAVs can now seek and destroy their targets, while the pilots stay safely on the ground hundreds or even thousands of miles away. No UAV has racked up more hours of successful combat service than the Predator.
I know some operations just don't happen unless Predators flying above them.
This footage of actual airstrikes in Afghanistan and Iraq shows the lethal effects of these sinister assassins. Even in densely populated urban areas, they can pinpoint targets as small as a single vehicle.
The enemy doesn't know when the next shot is coming. They don't even know when the first shot is coming.
Once you're on our screen, you're not going anywhere.
The Predator is reported to have taken out Al-Qaeda's second and third in command in separate operations in Pakistan. To get a closer look at this hunter-killer in the sky, I'm on my way to an isolated airfield in the Mojave Desert east of Los Angeles.
I'm out here under a clear blue sky, in the middle of nowhere, miles from anything, with nothing but heat, rocks, and rattlers to keep me company. And yet I have this eerie, unsettling feeling that the people I'm supposed to meet are watching me right now.
Also arriving at the airfield is the man behind the company that pioneered the Predator, Thomas J. Cassidy, a retired Rear Admiral and former fighter pilot with 34 years in active military service. Now in his 70s, Tom still insists on piloting the company plane himself. It was his maverick leadership style that pushed the system from prototype to practical weapon in just 6 months.
A lot of the fellows that got pulled out of F-15s and C-130s to fly these things were not thrilled about it. But once they started shooting and seeing what these airplanes can do, they got pretty enthused about it.
UAVs already existed. Why the Predator? What makes the Predator so special?
Well, when we first got in this business, there were UAVs. The government had spent quite a bit of money on them. And most of them were small model airplane type systems. These airplanes really were tethered to this line of sight data link that was only good for about 150 miles. So what we wanted to do was make real airplanes out of it.
There isn't anything that isn't needed. It's so streamlined, it's so clean. It's like a work of art to me.
Yeah. This one carries 4,000 pounds of fuel. The wings are full of fuel, the fuselage is full. It flies over 30 hours, goes over 50,000 feet, and will carry 3,000 pounds of weapons.
It can sure carry a massive payload, but the stripped-down Predator weighs just over 1,000 pounds. That's 1/20th the weight of an F-16 fighter plane. And because it's so light, it burns less fuel, giving it greater endurance.
You don't need an F-16 flying around the periphery of a country when you can put these things up. You go up and you dwell and you throttle back and you spend a lot of time at low speed, just endurance. It's an in-atmosphere satellite.
The original Predator A was intended for spy missions only, but equipping it with Hellfire missiles proved so successful that a whole new generation of aircraft was born. The larger Predator B flies higher, further, and longer, and carries a weapons payload of up to 3,000 pounds. Their small size, low speed, and high altitude make them virtually impossible to see or hear from the ground. Their carbon composite body makes them almost invisible to radar.
Predator A operating at 15 to 20,000 foot altitude, very hard to see. I mean, if you don't know it's there, somebody didn't tell you it was there, you won't see it. Predator B, its best cruise area is above 30,000 feet. You don't see it either.
What happens if you lose a satellite signal with the aircraft?
Well, you can pre-program your what we call emergency mission. So if you lose your link with the airplane, it will automatically come home, basically. So you can wait 5, 6, 7, 8 hours later, and it shows up at your airport, and you grab it line of sight and land it.
And just because the Predator can't be seen from the ground, don't think it can't see you.
What really gives the Predator its edge is its amazing combination of sensors and firepower. This unique versatility is what makes it the deadly spy in the sky that it truly is.
Inside the cutaway here is where the radar, the Lynx SAR GMTI radar sits. The radar is all weather. It can penetrate through clouds, can see at night. And the way that we use the radar is it sees broad area, long distances, and we use that for detection and location of potential targets or surveillance. You can fly over an area, come back the next day, maybe where drug runners are running through, fly that area again, and it'll overlay the two images and tell you if there's footprints on the ground.
Are you serious?
So you can tell if anybody's walked through that area in the last 24 hours.
Underneath the Predator is the combined optical and infrared sensor. 360 degrees of high-precision camera power for pinpoint accuracy.
We would use that to identify a point of interest on the ground that the radar has previously identified. But where it really helps you is with vehicles. You can tell a tank from a truck. You can see if there's people in the back of the truck, and you can see if they're carrying weapons.
And information can be fed anywhere, even to the White House.
The streaming video, it can be distributed any place. It can be on the President's desk or the Secretary of Defense's desk on a TV screen. It can be delivered to a small little television receiver, to a special ops guy riding a horse through Afghanistan.
It's amazing.
It can go any place.
When the decision was made to put weapons on the spy plane, the Predator blossomed into a sinister assassin in the sky.
Before the Predator had the missiles on it, when they would locate targets and then they'd have to wait for a manned airplane to come in and shoot the target, once the Predator had missiles on it, then a lot less targets got away because you could see it, get clearance to shoot and shoot.
The crew at the ground control station make life and death decisions by watching a TV screen, often hundreds of miles away. It may look like a video game, but this is no child's play.
When you're on a strike mission, there's no game feeling to it. You know what I mean? It might be casualties down there. It's one shot. You may have one shot, one kill for this thing to take care of the situation. So you definitely tense up. You see the mood comes a lot more serious. Everyone's focused. There's no joking around, no banter. Only mission-specific information is getting related at that time. Even though you might be 1,000 miles away, you feel like you have a hand in a fight that's going on right then and there.
When we first deployed to the Balkans, I was in a ground station one day and a Predator pilot was being shot at. The airplane was being shot at. The pilot was hundreds of miles away. But every time the black puff went off, he ducked. And he was like 800 miles away from the black puff.
There is definitely a psychological advantage of having the Predator in a field of battle, isn't there?
Oh, it's a big advantage. That level of fear that you put into them to let them know that at any time, you know what I mean, you can be right on top of that target, stay on top of that target for as much as possible. It has to probably drive them crazy to not know exactly what's going on.
Coming up, to find out what it's like to be tracked by an unseen assassin, I've agreed to play cat and mouse with the Predator. It's the hunter and I'm the prey.
The facts and figures of the Predator are pretty impressive, but what does that really mean? I think it's time we put the Predator to the test. They're giving me a 10-minute head start to drive anywhere I want in the Mojave Desert. Now, all they've got to do is find me.
Remember that as a potential target, I could be anything from the driver of a stolen vehicle on the highway to a band of terrorists armed to the teeth, hell-bent on causing havoc.
Every once in a while I look around. I sometimes are listening, see if there's any kind of vehicles coming up behind me, anybody that's trying to keep track of me. And so far, nothing. I feel pretty good.
Averaging just 60 miles an hour, I could be anywhere inside a 10-mile radius by the time the Predator takes off. That's a search area of more than 300 square miles, increasing with every second after my 10 minutes are up.
Now, according to my watch, that time.
Ready for climb level off, Jeff? Yeah.
Should be.
Emergency mission start point is set.
Flight time at 1205.
Copy that.
Just about.
SURBAF is NA. Engine instruments. Everything is good. Copy that.
Now.
Cyclops Lynx.
Lynx is Cyclops. We are airborne. We have you locked through us.
Within minutes, the Predator easily climbs to an altitude of around 10,000 feet, well below its maximum operational height, but enough to make sure it can't be seen or heard from the ground. If I was a bad guy, death could come in an instant and I'd be completely unaware. Just like in a real-life operation, this Predator provides support to a ground-based attack force. Waiting patiently out in the desert for further instructions is the intercept vehicle, codenamed the Hammer.
This is Hammer, go ahead.
Hey, Hammer Cyclops, the suspicious
Back at the ground control station, the crew now have me within their sights. The onboard video camera gives them a predator's eye view of the terrain below. The radar can then scan a large area and easily pinpoint a moving target, like my vehicle. After that, the infrared optical sensor zooms right in to confirm my exact position and provide a positive ID.
Roger, it's 343613.35, 1173541.71.
We have positively ID'd the vehicle as a black SUV. We don't see any other vehicles on the lake bed right now.
The images are so up close and personal that you might think the predator was right on top of me. What's incredible is that these pictures are coming from a distance of almost 5 miles away.
We have a visual on that black SUV.
Copy. The Hammer's got a visual on the black SUV.
I'm still completely unaware I've even been spotted.
Probably come right 30 degrees for intercept.
Turning right 30 degrees.
Confirming he's right 2 o'clock.
Roger that, we have him in sight. Proceeding.
If this predator was fitted with a couple of Hellfire missiles, I'd be toast right now. Lucky for me, the Hammer's instructions are simply to intercept and detain me for questioning.
Good intercept, good intercept.
Roger, we have the suspect.
Copy. What's your position?
Ground vehicle.
All right, well, I guess I am captured. Can we get out of character here?
No problem.
Awesome. Okay. How much time did it take the predator to pick me up?
From the start of the search to a positive ID of the vehicle was approximately 20 to 30 seconds.
And I'm quite blessed, aren't I?
Oh, yes.
He didn't have the Hellfire missiles to rain down on
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
Next, if you think the predator was scary, just wait until the sky is swarming with hundreds of its kid brothers, the Dominators. With successful strikes against Al-Qaeda, the Predator has already proven its worth. So just imagine how deadly machines like these would be if they were able to hunt in packs.
The concept of the UAV is constantly changing, developing, evolving, and now it's created a whole new species.
The UAV of the future is called the Dominator.
It's a culmination of several technologies being put together in one vehicle to be able to do a lot of things that were never done before.
Dropped from stealth aircraft high above the area of operation, these lightweight, 3-foot-long self-governing drones spring to life as soon as they are launched, extending their wings and fold-away propeller. But these hunter-killers don't work alone. They stay in constant communication with both each other and the Central Command. They automatically form into cooperative teams called constellations, spying on everything that moves on the ground below.
You can go from guarding a mountain pass to covering a whole Army Corps area if that were the right thing to do.
And if programmed to do so, they can even make the decision to attack their targets without the need for human intervention.
Whatever the tactical situation would be, someone would say, go search this area and go look for a particular type of target. And if you find it, I'd like you to kill it.
Multiply that by 100 aircraft per constellation, and you start to get some idea of the potential.
The Dominator. It's only 3 feet long, weighs 100 pounds, it's cheap and disposable, and yet this small, lightweight aircraft represents a whole new concept in warfare.
If you look at the progression of weapons as we've gone through time, for more than 50 years, we just dropped dumb iron bombs, which came off ballistically, and just wherever you drop them, however fast you're going, they were going to hit a particular target. And so it was kind of hard to hit targets very precisely. Throughout the years, we've gotten better with guided munitions, we've got laser-guided bombs, we've got GPS weapons.
And now we're entering a new era, weapons with intelligent processing and even greater accuracy.
Once I launch this weapon, I don't necessarily want to stick around to designate the target because it puts me at risk. I kind of like to, in a high-threat environment, launch a weapon and forget about it and get myself back out of the threat envelope and get back home.
Although the Dominator sounds like science fiction, most of the technology behind it has already been tested and proven. Much of the science has been inherited from its predecessor at Boeing, a short-range experimental platform called LOCAS. And now, LOCAS has evolved into the Dominator.
the next step, you can go from 30-minute endurance to something that could be several hours or maybe even several days in length. You'll be able to have these things out over an area, seed an area, and now you can pretty much map out whatever's there and act a lot more responsively in terms of having situational awareness and attacking where and when you want to.
The individual Dominators quickly establish a network which allows them to share information about the battlefield below, so they don't all hit the same target.
We've had some problems years ago in that some of our future weapon concepts attacked a target well. Subsequent target attacks would often kill a target that's already been struck.
The Dominators intended to be much, much smaller and smarter.
The way the cooperative swarming scenario works is that the Dominator that is, say, closest to that target that has been identified would attack that target. And then once it's attacked, it would pass that information to the other Dominators that, in fact, that target has been attacked and killed.
To attack and destroy its targets, each Dominator is armed with a total of 3 explosive warheads. And if all else fails, there's the ultimate solution.
It still has some kill capability with the weapon itself to be able to kamikaze into something.
It may be a few years away, but make no mistake, the Dominator is coming. And when it does, it'll provide a new kind of stealth support, even for the smallest of units.
Is the enemy going to see it?
Well, you know, because they're small, they're very difficult to pick up. Certainly over a period of time, one's going to notice them if they've been over your head for the last 3 or 4 hours. But the fact that we have so many numbers of them over the battle space, that even if we lost several of them, it doesn't really impede the overall function of the Dominators within the battle space.